At our 10th anniversary, my wife publicly dumped me for her boss, her family humiliated her on the spot, and 7 months later, karma hit hard. Wow, I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything that just happened. Like, 3 days ago, my world just fell apart, and I'm here trying to figure it all out by writing it down. This is seriously tough to even type. Never thought I'd be the one sharing my relationship mess on Reddit, but here we are. Let's go with Mark and Sarah for names since those are the classic fake names. Plus, I'm super worried someone we know might put 2 and 2 together, even though the whole situation is so wild, anyone who was there would totally recognize it. Anyway, I thought I had a pretty solid marriage up until 3 days ago. Not perfect, but whose marriage is, right? We had plans for the future, but it looks like those are out the window now. For some context, my wife Sarah has always been pretty intense. If things don't go her way or someone questions her ideas, she just goes from 0 to 100 real fast. She talks a mile a minute, gets loud, maybe throws small stuff, slams doors, basically a hurricane until she gets her way. And then, it's the silent treatment until she does. I've put up with this for years because, well, I loved her and just got used to going with the flow to avoid drama. Yeah, I know how that sounds. But, it's like the frog in the slowly boiling water, you don't notice until it's too late. After a decade together, I got really good at spotting the storm clouds and doing whatever it took to keep things calm. Let me give you a couple of examples so you know what I've been dealing with before I get to the main event. Like, 3 years ago, we were planning some big renovations on our place. Nothing wild, just updating the kitchen and master bath. We'd saved up for it, and I was stoked to make our house more us rather than just our starter home. Sarah took the reins on the project, which was cool because she's got a great eye for design. But then she picked a contractor she liked after just one meeting because apparently, he was super charming. When I checked the quote, it was way over budget, and there were some major red flags. They claimed they could redo the kitchen in 2 weeks, which is just, impossible. Plus, the materials list was super vague, just premium countertops and high-quality cabinetry, no real details. So, I gently suggested we get a few more estimates to make sure. You'd think I had set the house on fire or something. She flipped out, accusing me of sabotaging the project, not trusting her, and always making her feel stupid. She stormed out and gave me the silent treatment for 2 days just because I suggested getting more quotes. Eventually, she came around, mostly because I left renovation horror stories open on my laptop for her to see. We got a second quote, and, surprise, the first contractor was overpriced and unrealistic. The second company pointed out all the issues, and we went with them. Sarah acted like the whole fight never happened and pretended choosing the second contractor was her idea all along. I was just relieved we weren't getting ripped off, so I let it go. Another time, about 18 months ago, we were planning our yearly vacation. It was my turn to pick the spot. We'd always taken turns, and it worked great for us. We were thinking of something outdoorsy, maybe a cabin near a national park with hiking trails. I thought Sarah was into it, she'd always seemed to enjoy our hikes. I spent months researching, bookmarking cabins near Yosemite, guided hiking tours, even a place that would deliver gourmet meal kits to our cabin so we could cook together. I was really excited and kept dropping hints about my plans. Sarah seemed interested, asking questions and acting like she was looking forward to it. But then, out of nowhere, she came home one day waving some travel brochure. So, there I was, flipping through a magazine when my wife came across this article about a swanky resort down in the Caribbean. One of those places with private pools, personal butlers, and all that fancy stuff. Next thing I knew, she had her heart set on going there, despite the fact that it was way beyond what we budgeted for our vacation, like 3 times over. When I gently reminded her about the outdoor adventure plan I'd been working on for months and the whole budget thing, she flipped out. She started yelling at me, saying I was just being difficult on purpose and trying to rob her of all these experiences that she believed everyone else was having. She threw around claims that our friends were always going on glamorous trips, totally not true, and accused me of being cheap, which is also bogus because I'm just careful with our spending. The argument got intense fast. She threw a pillow that ended up breaking our wedding photo frame, which, looking back, seems kind of symbolic. She declared the outdoor trip was off and slammed our bedroom door so hard that a painting fell. Then she ignored me for the rest of the day. I slept on the couch, and when I tried bringing it up the next morning, she acted like none of it ever happened. The following day, she booked the luxury resort using our joint credit card before I could even say anything. I didn't bother fighting it because, let's be honest, she would have given me the cold shoulder for days. So off we went to this fancy hotel. Sure, It was nice, but all I could think about was how much it cost and the way we ended up going there. This was pretty much the norm throughout our marriage. I'd voice my opinion or have a different idea, and she'd explode, hit me with the silent treatment, and then do whatever she wanted anyway. I usually just let her have her way because the alternative wasn't worth the drama. Our friends even joked about how she was the one running the show. They'd poke me, saying stuff like, "Happy wife, happy life, right, Mark?" I'd just laugh it off because what was I supposed to do? Admit that I was scared of her temper? That I'd pretty much given up trying to be an equal partner because the emotional battles weren't worth it? It sounds unhealthy now, but when you're in it, it just feels normal. You adapt, convince yourself every marriage has quirks. I did love her, and we had good times, too. But constantly walking on eggshells and feeling like my voice didn't matter really wore me down. I didn't fully grasp how much damage it was doing until everything came crashing down. Fast forward to 3 nights ago, the night that shattered my marriage and any remaining illusions about who my wife truly was. We were celebrating our 10th anniversary with about 50 people at this nice venue downtown. Sarah had planned most of it, which was fine. Our closest friends were there, some of my co-workers, and Sarah's family, including her parents and younger brothers. My family lives abroad, my parents retired to Portugal, and my sisters are in Australia, so they couldn't make it. In hindsight, it was a relief they weren't there to witness the spectacle. The evening was going smoothly. The food was awesome, the bar was open, and everyone was having a blast. People were making toasts, sharing memories, and congratulating us. Sarah seemed happy, holding my hand, whispering jokes during the speeches. After dinner, I was about to thank everyone and say a few nice things about Sarah and our time together. But before I could get up there, Sarah suddenly took the stage with her boss, David. I had no clue he was coming. He wasn't on the guest list we discussed. Turns out, he showed up after Sarah had stepped out for a bit. Her family looked just as surprised as I was. Sarah's dad even shot a puzzled glance at her mom when David walked in. Sarah grabbed the mic, and everyone got quiet, curious about what she had to say. Her smile was different, not her usual warm one, but more like she was up to something. She started talking about how it was a night of celebration, not just for our decade together but for her new journey. I was confused but thought maybe she was talking about a job thing. Then, out of nowhere, she announced she was leaving me. The room went silent. Everyone was just staring, shocked. I felt like the wind got knocked out of me. My brain was struggling to make sense of it all. How could Sarah and leaving me even be in the same sentence? If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real-life stories happening around you. I was just standing there, totally floored, thinking there had to be some kind of mistake or that I'd misheard something. Maybe it was all just a bad joke. But no, she kept going, and boy, did it get worse. She pointed to David, who was standing right next to her. This guy is about a decade older than us, and from what I knew, he'd been divorced twice already. And then she drops the bomb, she's leaving me for him because he's supposedly the better guy, the one who can give her what she really wants, a family and a baby. Those words, man enough, felt like a punch in the gut. We'd been trying to have a baby for a few years, but I recently found out I had fertility issues. It was a big deal for us, something deeply personal that we only shared with close family. And there she was, using it to humiliate me in front of everyone we knew. She wrapped it up by saying, in this weirdly businesslike tone, "This is happening now. This is my choice, and I am moving forward with it." Like she was reading off a script instead of blowing up our 10-year marriage. I was just rooted to the spot, hit by an emotional truck. My face was burning 1 minute and freezing the next. The whole room seemed to tilt, and I looked around at everyone, their faces frozen in shock or pity. Friends who'd just been congratulating us, co-workers who'd probably remember this forever, and Sarah's family, who looked as blindsided as I felt. Then there was David, the guy who'd been in our home for dinner, shaking my hand while secretly seeing my wife. It was wild trying to figure out when it all started, how long it had been going on. Just last night, we'd been talking about the party. She'd kissed me goodbye that morning, and now this? Before I could even start to respond, Sarah's dad stood up and said, "Your behavior is shameful, Sarah. The things you're saying about Mark are hurtful and untrue, and doing this in front of everyone is beyond disrespectful." Her mom added, "We didn't raise you to act like this. We don't support any of this." Then her dad delivered the final blow, saying they disowned her. They all stood up and walked out, not even looking back when Sarah called after them. I'd known them for over a decade. They were all about family loyalty and doing the right thing, and I'd never seen them like this, united in their disappointment. If her own family was walking away, What she did was truly beyond the pale. Sarah clearly didn't see that coming. She started screaming after them, but it was all just noise to me. David tried to calm her down, but she shook him off. She looked nothing like the confident woman she'd been a moment ago. I finally snapped out of my shock, this weird calm settling over me. I guess it was a defense mechanism, numbing me so I could deal with it. I walked up to them, my voice cold and steady. "You need to leave," I said, and I didn't recognize my own voice. David, the nerve of the guy, tried to talk to me. "Mark, we need to talk," he started, but I cut him off. "No, we don't. Get out before I break your nose." I pointed to the exit, and they seemed to get the message. They grabbed their stuff and left, leaving behind a room full of shocked faces. There I was, my boss, old friends, everyone looking at me, waiting for something. I felt like I had to say something to wrap up the disaster of the night. So I went back to the stage, cleared my throat, and said, "I think it's clear the party's over. I'm sorry it ended like this." My voice cracked a little. So, I somehow made it through the night. Thanks for showing up, everyone. Your support means a lot. What else was there to say? Surprise. My wife cheated on me with her boss, and I found out alongside you guys. Or maybe, yeah, don't worry, I'm just dying inside. There was nothing I could say to make any of this better. People started packing up, whispering, and giving me these pitying looks as they left. A few close friends awkwardly patted my shoulder or gave quick hugs, saying stuff like, "Call if you need anything," or "Sorry, man." I nodded, thanked them, but honestly, I was in a fog. Everything felt distant, like I was underwater. In about half an hour, the place was empty, except for the staff, who were trying to clean up as quietly as possible. I stuck around to help out. It was partly in the rental agreement but mostly because I needed something normal to focus on. The manager kept giving me sympathetic looks, which only made me feel worse. I settled up the bill, signed some paperwork, and finally headed home. Walking into our empty house hit me hard. 10 years of marriage, just gone. I sat on our bed and finally let it all out. After a while, I pulled myself together and checked my phone. Sarah had flooded me with texts. She was all over the place, shocked at how her family reacted. "I can't believe they do this to me," she wrote, admitting she messed up but still insisting on leaving me. She suggested we talk or see a counselor, claiming it was a cry for help but never saying what kind of help she needed. She threw a bunch of stuff at me, blaming me for not being attentive enough. It was classic Sarah, never owning up to anything, always spinning the story to suit her. But this time, there was no way to spin it. She'd crossed a line. I didn't reply or answer her calls. Instead, I reached out to a divorce lawyer and set things in motion to end our marriage. I'm writing this to make sense of it all, not to question if I'm doing the right thing. I know what needs to be done. Update, a week later. Thanks for all your comments. Some of you asked about the party and Sarah's family's reaction. So, we rented a private room for the night. Sarah's parents and brothers were there, but my family couldn't make it because they live overseas. Her boss, David, wasn't on the list, but showed up after Sarah left and came back with him. Even her family seemed surprised to see him. Sarah stood up and announced, "I'm leaving Mark for David," pointing at him. She said hurtful things about me, claiming he was better for her because he could give her a family. The way her family completely cut ties with her shows how serious her actions were. Her texts afterward were just attempts at damage control, no real apologies or explanations. The morning after the party, I met with the divorce lawyer, went through all the details of our marriage and finances, and got the divorce papers ready. I signed them and had them served to Sarah. Hey, so here's the rundown of what went down. When Sarah got served with the divorce papers, things really ramped up. She started bombarding me with messages, swinging between demanding I drop the divorce and claiming I had no right to file in the first place. She kept saying the whole incident at the party was just a slip-up, and I was making a mountain out of a molehill. One minute she was threatening me, the next she was hurling insults. The craziest part? She actually had the nerve to accuse me of trying to ruin her life, when she was the one who blew our marriage to smithereens in front of everyone. I didn't dignify any of her messages with a response. Instead, I saved all of them and passed the threatening ones to my lawyer. I told him to inform Sarah's lawyer. Yeah, she quickly got one, that from now on, all divorce talk had to go through the attorneys. I was done talking to her directly. So that's where things stood. Divorce was officially in motion, and we were only talking lawyer to lawyer while I tried to glue my life back together. Fast forward to 7 months later, and wow, what a ride it's been. The divorce is now a done deal, and I'm finally able to breathe again. Once Sarah got the divorce papers and hired her lawyer, she responded to the dissolution petition. Surprise, surprise, she conveniently skipped over why we really split up. You know, her public breakup speech and humiliation wasn't even mentioned. Then, she had the gall to ask for alimony after dumping me and saying I wasn't man enough for her. Her alimony pitch focused on the income gap and how long we were married but conveniently ignored the whole public drama she caused. It was like she was rewriting history to play the victim. Meanwhile, mutual friends were telling me that Sarah was spinning a whole different version of the story to them, trying to paint herself as the one wronged. That, plus her trying to get my money in court, was the last straw. When my lawyer showed me her alimony request, we talked about how the local courts usually deal with such cases. Judges mostly look at marriage length and income differences but can consider how things went down too. So, we sent her lawyer a letter stating that if she pushed forward with this alimony claim, I'd bring out big guns, evidence about our split, including my sworn statements and potentially witness accounts from the party, where she dumped me for her boss and her family's harsh reaction. We kept it all legal and above board, just laying out what would be shown in court if she didn't back off. And it worked like a charm. Within days, Sarah's lawyer told mine she was dropping the alimony claim. They filed the paperwork soon after, making it official. Word on the street is that things haven't gone great for Sarah since then. A couple of months after the party, she either quit or got booted from the company where she worked under her boss/new fling, David. Finding a similar job hasn't panned out for her, her finances tanked, and she ended up moving in with a cousin because she couldn't afford her own place. Her family hasn't budged since their reaction at the party, so her support system is pretty much non-existent. Here's how it all played out. Sarah made our marriage implode at our anniversary party, her family disowned her on the spot, I filed for divorce the next day, she asked for alimony, I threatened to share all the details if she didn't back off, and then she dropped the alimony request. She lost her job and had to crash with a relative due to money issues. Now, the divorce is done and dusted. We sorted out dividing our stuff, which was pretty straightforward, and the court officially ended our marriage. Sarah isn't at her old job, gets no support from me, and is living with her cousin. Her life looks a whole lot different now. We don't talk anymore, everything goes through our lawyers, which doesn't happen much now that it's all over. As far as I know, her family still isn't talking to her. I won't be updating any more about this mess. It's in the past, and I'm finally moving on. This past 7 months have been the toughest of my life. Oh, and for those curious about David, apparently, he and Sarah didn't last long after her love declaration. Word is they split around the same time she left the job, but I don't know much else, and honestly, I don't care. Big thanks to everyone who gave me support and advice during this nightmare. Your words kept me strong when I felt like giving in to Sarah just to stop the hurt. I'm in a much better spot now, and here's to whatever's next.